and the charts have spoken. Resident Evil Requiem absolutely dominated, taking the top spot for both the US and EU markets on the PS5. Since we know the survival horror genre is at its peak right now, it makes total sense that fans are craving more intense Leon action. That is the kind of platform move players notice immediately. For our Game of the Day energy, Resident Evil is sitting on a community score of 88, and one fun bit is that Resident Evil reinvented itself several times without ever really losing its horror identity.
Game news 24/7.
Okay, this one is pretty spicy. Sometimes the tech behind your favorite heroes falls apart in the most frustrating ways. If you are playing Dota and your number keys suddenly stop working when switching between a hero and a courier, it is actually a pretty specific UI glitch. It seems to happen if you left-click on a teammate's neutral item circle, especially if you do it right as the fountain gets destroyed. Platform news can be dry, but this one actually changes how people might play. For our Game of the Day energy, Dota 2 is sitting on a community score of 90. And one fun bit is that the international pushed prize pool culture into the mainstream for competitive gaming.
Game news 24/7.
For once, the headline really is doing some work here. Welcome back to the desk, because the EMEA Game Changers ecosystem is officially getting a massive upgrade. Riot is revving up for the VCT 2026 season, and after seeing the updated prize pool, I have to admit, the money talk is louder than ever. This year's edition is looking like the most competitive regional tournament yet, with a significant boost to the purse that is going to force teams to bring their absolute A-game from the very first map. So yes, the bracket watchers now have a fresh reason to lose sleep.
Game news 24/7.
This next one actually has some real energy behind it. Why does Slay the Spire 2 matter today? Because it is not just getting attention from one headline, it is sitting right in the middle of the current gaming conversation. Slay the Spire helped define what a modern deck-building roguelike could feel like for a massive audience. Honestly, that is exactly the kind of momentum a live game needs. For our Game of the Day energy, Slay the Spire 2 is sitting on a community score of 93, and one fun bit is that Slay the Spire helped define what a modern deck-building roguelike could feel like for a massive audience.
Game news 24/7.
For once, the headline really is doing some work here. Here is a script that keeps the energy high while sounding like a natural conversation. Word count: 85 words, est. Duration: 35 seconds. We are officially seeing the professional ranks getting a little crowded, folks, which is another elegant way of saying the pressure just went up for everyone involved.
Game news 24/7.
Now this is the sort of story that gets chat moving fast. All right, gamers, let's talk Counter-Strike. Valve is rolling out an X-ray scanner feature for loot containers in Germany later this month, and honestly, it sounds like a win for transparency until you dig a little deeper. While seeing what's inside might sound like a dream for anyone tired of opening a $100 AK-47 only to find a skin they already own, the payout rates remain the same, meaning your odds haven't actually changed. For me, this is the part where the story stops being noise and starts getting interesting. For our Game of the Day energy, Counter-Strike 2 is sitting on a community score of 93, and one fun bit is that Counter-Strike Majors remain some of the most iconic arena events in all of esports.
Game news 24/7.
This next one actually has some real energy behind it. Another huge upset in Valorant Champions Tour history has just dropped, and frankly, I'm still recovering. Paper Rex went into the VCT Masters Santiago playoffs expecting to dominate, but NRG completely dismantled them 2-0, winning on Pearl and Bind. Looking at the stats, it was a masterclass in team execution, especially with Scuba and Mata carrying the firepower on the Astra and Waylay. That has real tournament energy written all over it. For our Game of the Day energy, Valorant is sitting on a community score of 89, and one fun bit is that Valorant became one of the fastest modern tactical shooters to build a truly global esports scene.
Game news 24/7.
Here is a story that has a little more bite than usual. Can you believe this?
The internet has done it again, and we are absolutely loving it. A fan on Nexus Mods has taken Resident Evil Requiem and swapped the terrifying chunk boss fight with everyone's favorite swamp-dwelling ogre, Shrek. That is enough to raise an eyebrow, which is more than most headlines manage.
Game news 24/7.
This next update is quietly a big deal. Big news coming out of the CIS region because the undisputed kings of CS2, Natus Vincere, are looking to take over the Valorant scene too. Reports indicate they are planning to launch a full Academy roster starting in 2026. For fans, this is huge. Natus Vincere has a legendary history of scouting and developing talent, so if they bring that same level of intensity to Valorant, we are definitely looking at a top-tier contender in the making. So yes, the bracket watchers now have a fresh reason to lose sleep. So that should be relaxing for the players, which is to say, not at all.
Game news 24/7.
This next update is quietly a big deal. It's the end of the road for two fan favorites in VCT Masters Santiago. After a stunning upset, Furia and Gentlemates have been knocked out of the tournament, leaving the upper bracket final wide open. Honestly, seeing Furia go down that hard is brutal for us all, but it sets the stage for a massive showdown in the final four. That is enough to raise an eyebrow, which is more than most headlines manage. Nothing dramatic aside from the inevitable internet overreaction.
Game news 24/7.
This next one actually has some real energy behind it. The pressure is absolutely unreal right now on the LAN stage for ESL Pro League Season 23. We have a massive update coming out of Belgium with 5 squads punching their tickets to the playoffs and 5 others getting sent home. It is going to come down to the wire to see who survives the lower bracket. And honestly, I am sweating for these teams. Round difference is the only thing standing between glory and elimination right now. That has real tournament energy written all over it.
Game news 24/7.
This one is genuinely worth your attention. If you think about it, FaZe really missed the mark by letting S1 Meadle go. Honestly, looking at how their results have slipped since then, I'm not sure they would have been able to handle his intensity anyway. Sus1 Meadle was the only one who could effectively smack some sense into Elijah Nitra Zero Miller when he was spiraling, and Kerrigan definitely needed that leadership. Which is another elegant way of saying the pressure just went up for everyone involved.
Game news 24/7.
This one is genuinely worth your attention. Stop scrolling. Marathon fans are officially hacking their way into the future. Players have finally cracked a terminal puzzle that was keeping the cryo archive locked away, which is another elegant way of saying the pressure just went up for everyone involved.
Game news 24/7.
Now, this is the sort of